say everybody's got a club.
I mean, not everybody's clearly good at club, but
no, I'm not saying they're good, but I'm saying everybody has a club.
Everybody has a club.
Everybody has a club.
Very true. Everybody should know how to play Clubhouse. If you don't know how to play Clubhouse, there's something wrong with you.
How do I know this? Well, even if you somehow accidentally fall into Desert rated ranked in Siege Silver,
which is copper. Oh,
copper.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, no. You'll see people go for actual takes. I'm not saying they're doing it well, but you'll see people go for actual takes. And I'm not saying that's what we're going to see. We're going to see, obviously, a much more intense version of that. But it's the same. The fact that it's so intrinsically linked to this game is that's always that gamble of saying club is my favorite, I'm the best at club, is you can't always keep people out of club.
No. Club is just going to be played a lot.
It's not that exclusive a Clubhouse.
No, it's a very, very inclusive Clubhouse. Everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome into Clubhouse.
It's not a very nice Clubhouse, we have to say. Like, there's definitely been some murders there, I believe. It's a lot of guns.
You should tell the police.
Other stuff that's
negative things, yeah.
Seen as negative.
There's bags of talcum powder and
yeah, it was
one of them. There's
how dare they?
Cool rock and roll.
Milk powder.
Cool rock and roll.
It's one of the two.
No, it can't be because I mean Canada does bag its milk.
Yeah, but this is Germany.
Oh.
We're in. I think.
Oh, we're in.
I don't know.
We're in. Habana, Thatcher, Bandit as a removal is okay. It's more of a target towards the top floors. Obviously, you've still got Kaid though. You've still got the claws that can be played, and BDS are very good with Kaid claws. They trick, they trap, they try and play things against it. They're pretty adept. So limiting just the Bandit as the lead-in.
10 seconds left.
Maybe they're trying to force something a little bit more uncomfortable, but I feel like LMs or occasionally Ranshiro isn't going to be that uncomfortable.
No, definitely not. They're going to be able to just play the way they want to. It's just to stop any Bandit tricks from happening. I mean, we've seen it in the previous game. We've done. The Grenade was supposed to take care of it, but didn't. So the Bandit trick was successful in the end. And as we mentioned back then as well, the Bandit tricks has started to become more and more successful again because, you know, time is cyclical as people don't really expect it to happen anymore, and then it does happen again. And you know, now people are going to be more wary of a potential Bandit trick to come through. That's how they phase in and out. By the way, first 30 seconds have passed. Drones are going to be rolling through. First hatch that they want to open up. Feels like it will be the kitchen, but I believe there is going to be some electrification there, so that's not just going to happen.
Spiff on the far end, watching the rotate, and the first two floors will be a bit of a hunt, but the fact that all the BDS players are down close, it means that Astralis have been free to do this. We talked about their excellence of execute on the previous map as well, how quick they are to pay direct attention to the site. Then you look at the lineup, the smokes, the Candelas, the E1Ds, the chance of maybe smoking and covering themselves in on the drop on a hatch, maybe going for a bit of a push that way, and EFAC, he's going to be the chance on a fight, just sees the bright yellow shoulder of the Lion, but cannot quite pop the safety suit that he seems to wear.
Yeah, the hazmat suit.
Hazmat suit, that's the word.
Of course, what's it called? CRDN, something like that. It was the unit that joined Team Rainbow.
Yeah.
The extraction threat.
Well, Forest is the first off the board. Ranshiro sprays back up above the hatch, takes care of the body, and they have a minute 10 in the E1D just to stop a second coming through, but he almost goes for it. Spiff's holding the angle. And that time, suffers a bit of damage. The blinds on the back end are blue. They're forcing the player into an absolute hellscape of smokes, blinds, and flashes, with J9O getting one on the back, and Iconic moving amongst the madness. LMs, though, he's able to stop at least the kill. They've dropped onto Moto, and Iconic doing everything, swinging which ways and around to take them out. Cannot quite find the connection with Shaiko, and brings us into the 2 versus 3, 45 seconds. Shuttle, he's going for the plant. EFAC's going for the rotate around the back end. Shaiko gets Spiff and a post plant, 3 versus 1. They know where he is, though. And BDS, they're able to open up here and take round 1.
Quite easily. I mean, there was still going to be that big of a fight, and, you know, the bit of explode. I just heard these.
You think?
Something Ying.
What I might do is I might talk to one of our many French speakers around and get them to write a quick list of buzzwords of Siege.
Oh, yes.
Communication.
Uh-huh. I mean, we do have 2 French teams, so it will be very helpful.
It will be very helpful. I mean, I guess we'll see how this goes. We just need, we need like a translation document of some of the most common Siege words. Rush, plant, underneath, and then so we can listen out. And obviously, you know, for W7M, we could have it in Portuguese as well. I don't know what language G2 speak.
Just a bit of anything.
Bit of anything.
You know, it's
Australian, Swedish.
Sverige, yeah. It's, Danish. It's
Yeah.
A little bit like Dutch.
All over the shop.
Not quite like it.
Okay, but BDS, they take the first round. They were pleasantly surprised. They were able to hold in, but it was still close. It still had that big breach impact that Astralis love to do. They just hit sites hard. They have this fearlessness about them this late on the tournament with how the performances have gone. It reminds me of, dare I say, Charlotte Astralis. An Astralis that we haven't seen for a long time has really started to come back into form in this tournament. It was a slow start here as well. They know this, we know this. They're proving that there's another steps, another levels to go to. BDS, you know, they've had more prominence recently, but they've also stumbled during this tournament.
I mean, you can always start out slow, that's fine, as long as soon as it starts to matter, you're there to respond. An impact quickly tossed in to stop the Selmas from truly blowing up. It's going to be creating just a small angle and having them to forcing them to use more hard breach utility.
It's also the cost as well. You're thinking, why didn't you use them? But because they've got to do this, get the hatches open, get the width on construction open, you have the exothermics, but if one of those goes wrong with Kaid potentially on the board, well, you've still got to try and force that fight. Spiff, he's got himself underneath on the billiards table, but what he's going to throw up is probably a much more dangerous ball. Renshiro, however, stops him before he can start playing that game. Gets him from the hatch, and 2 rounds in a row, Renshiro's been able to get a kill via a hatch.
At least keeping BDS in a good spirit here, making sure that they are starting off strong on club, because it's never fun losing that first map, and it is really just the amount of, you know, mental gymnastics you can go through to make sure that you enter that second map just as fresh as you went into the first. There'll be quite some spots coming out from that drone. No one there, however, to try and reply for it as of yet. Impact grenade again used means that the bathroom will stay partially shut.
Jane, I know, he's getting his eyes slowly around the corner, and there it is. Alems on the back gets Forest. They tried to hope the fight would swing in, but BDS is swinging everything right now. Shuttle, he's caught out between a rock and a French place. And EFAC is the final one with a statement. BDS. Second round, and Astralis, the low energy, timeout. Let's see what they got to say.
Listen, Brax, you get us a team match soon. Like I told you, you're gonna get like half second thing. Last night there as well, we got a fucking breach open. What do? Drowned. We stacked them in the same fucking thing, just drowned. That can't be happening, you know. Take an IQ, take your grenades, take your hard breach, move around that, open the wall spread. It's taking way too long. Just like Jack, right there with Shuttle. I don't care if the wall's open. Just get it open. We need to apply more pressure on that fast against these guys, and when you take these guys, you're going to see it. We're not going to win the game, but we are. Speed the show, everything we're doing. It's going to be cash here. Let's get the show. Find out if you want to do that with IQ EMPs and running around. Look at Lava.
So you take Thermite, and then listen, I'll take it. I want to take Victory, and I want to get through Sweet right now.
I'll take Thermite and
It's taking too long, they need to be quicker.
Need to be quicker, and as he's pointing out, that's the team, you know, we got the breach open, and then what? There has to be a second part to it. There has to be some of that movement. That you had the comparison between last map and this map. They're both in some ways heavy maps. They're both in some ways, you know, big spaces and big routes that you got to take to get to places. There was much more action. As I said at the time, it felt like Astralis' map. This doesn't yet.
No, I think that's very fair to say. BDS have been able to shut them down perfectly. Didn't really have to worry about any of the Astralis pushes so far, because as mentioned before, it's like you get the breach open, then what? Like they sort of just fall apart. They don't really go for like a synchronized 1, 2, 3 execute. And that means BDS just is given the freedom to take these fights one by one. able to use that well. Now round 3 is going to be starting. It's Baron stage. We have some architects on the board. It's going to be the castle and the Azami. Both of them are going to be making it quite difficult to take control of what's in. Oh. Little small angle right there. Is he gonna get a kill from it? Maybe not, but
I mean, he's gonna hold on to that. He's got himself in a position now where he's got some safety. The fact that they have that with their own structure, their own level of bulletproof, means that, well, you have to try and approach it as if you were clearing out garage and rafters on a CC take. But it's also bar stage, so the Astralis, they might sort of move away from trying to take it, put pressure elsewhere, force the motion. There's the reveal and the ping on the location of where the player can be. They're swinging themselves further around. See the drone and you'll see the position. There's 3 players of Astralis. 4 players of Astralis currently circling around this. They breach underneath. There's pressure on the window. There's a rotate that's about to come through where they're going to go for the fight. He moves away from it and he's not able to win it out. Spiff with a great connection takes the fight in the rafters, and well, if there's too much to move, just move the player.
Yeah, that's it, right? Because the drones came through, that means that the pre-ping would be coming down. An easy pickup if he would have stayed on that small angle. As it gets picked up, wall gets opened up further as well, and Astralis now find themselves in an opportunity to start taking that top floor truly under control. Again, we're playing bar stage, and that means that it is important to have that top floor in your hands as an attacker, because if the defenders do, they're going to be shutting you down at every single opportunity they get to get that diffuser down. So all of that soft breach you see, all of the hard breach that's going on currently is all just to work towards that one goal. The thing is, though, is that you need to be a bit quick, because if you slow down too much, you're going to be missing out on these players hidden on the actual side.
Oh no! Slipped on by the missed drone and the missed moment. There's a pressure on the door. He's going to hold in. You can see they're trying to rotate some of this control, and he has the hatch if he wants to take it. He doesn't take it in time, but he doesn't get the connection, so he's still forced elsewhere. They know he's off, and Spiff is still on. Alems, though, stops that trainer rolling, and they have some vertical control. The angle's above Renshiro. He's about to be under a bit of pressure from the hatch. Alems, he's able to win out one more, but Iconic has the cover they need. It is just Forest with the kit. And they're on 2 different stories right now. Renshiro is on one. Efax holding underneath. They're just waiting in a showdown when you can start to hear some of those cowboy tunes playing. Who's going to be the quickest draw? The movement comes across. They're looking for the fight. It's the other side of the bar. The C4 is looped. And the only thing being served is a glass full of French champagne.
What's that sound coming out? Either way, Blind managed to come through. The defuse is going to be there. And BDS, they find themselves in a 3-0 lead. They've managed to avert the actual tactical timeout that came through, so that is going to be helpful for them.
They had a good half. We can have a fucking good half right here. Let's get this shit right here, right now. Fucking go. Let's
motivational.
Let's go.
They had a good half. We can have a half right now.
They're probably filling themselves here.
I mean, there's still time. It's 3 rounds deep. You're sort of on your defenses here. There's, you know, how many times on club have you sort of seen teams take a preference into their defense if things don't quite hit the full mark? He's fully right. They can still have a good half. They just are running into the similar problems that it's almost like we had on the second half of the last map, where you've got a bit of a struggle. You've got a bit of a take. Obviously, the fact that it's BDS's map, remember, Astralis opted to lead on their attacks. They wanted to start putting the pressure on. They wanted to try and do this as their opener and then end on their defense on the second sort of split of this. They know what they were getting into. But how much of it did they know that they were getting into because of, obviously, the timeout called as early as it was in this game?
That's that big question that we'll probably never get the answer to.
Unless they say it.
Unless they say it, and
then we would have the answer to it.
Then we would have the answer, but normally they don't. And thus that leaves us with just guesses left. It's BDS. Quite strip room right here, Leak Effect. Just taking out all the forms of sound coming through. This time a spot will come through from the drone. They'll check the corners. And that means Leak Effect will have to fall back. Yeah, he's already done some of the distance. Iconic's also getting a drone round behind him as well. They're watching for the rotate. Forrest, are you ready?
Ooh, just not ready enough. There's a lot of damage to him, though. And obviously, when you're putting pressure down below, some of these firefights are going to be scrappy. There's going to be bullets pinged between the bars, across the boards of Kitchen, across, obviously, around the corners of Blue as well. There's always some damage that can come just from the side of it. It might even just be Shuttle utilizing the Buck Skeleton key to open up the floor that could put an end to EFAC.
Yeah, Likafak will have to find himself in a bit of a safe position and not just go for these overextensions now. And talking about which, he's actually playing right underneath the hatch, so who knows? He might actually get himself caught. Of course, he has 2 impact grenades, wants to use them to make sure that the hatch don't completely open up. If you start thinking about it, well, there is Heart Breach gadgets that can be used. There's also Selmas that can be used, and all of those are easily trickable.
Oh, they're in. They just went for the drop, they went for the fire, and Shiro, he's holding off as best as he can, but Forest doesn't take any damage from the engagement. They are putting so much intense pressure right onto the back line of the site, and it's what we talked about and what they talked about in their timeout too. You don't just make a breach, you make use of the breach as well. Alems and Shaiko, they bite back via Modo. They get it crossed off on the swing round. They're waiting for a little bit more of an appearance on the hatch, and Shuttle, he's not entirely sure where to swing, but he gets gifted the head of Alems, and he almost finds a second follow-up immediately. J90, pressure on the back end, Iconic, pressure down the middle, and suddenly Astralis have been able to wrest control of the body count in this round of 2 versus 2. But with the plant being secured, will Shuttle be able to get up and pop off? There's the first. He's looking for the second. A rotate is his! And Astralis get their first round.
Plants comes through, the clutch there as well. They needed to be aggressive, and it's exactly what they did and exactly what they were. Opening up the wall instantly, starting to push through. Successful here. Some classic being called there, which I would translate to a default hole that's going to be coming out from Jim. Of course, again, I am by no means a French speaker.
What?
I know, it's crazy. I'm not actually French. I'm not Miloš either.
What?
Yes, I know, it just keeps on getting crazier and crazier as we move on. So, you know, all I can do is just pick out simple words. Like you said, you know, the buzzwords coming through. Don't quite have all the buzzwords, but some of them.
You know a couple of buzzwords.
Yes.
I know one buzzword.
What's the one buzzword?
B.
And she's walking off. Out of herself she is.
3-1. Astralis get their first round, and it was a nail biter.
Can I please leave production? I don't want to fuck around anymore. This is getting too much like this.
And it was a nail biter.
Yes. No, you can do this round. I'm not going to be helping you anymore.
Okay.
What a joke.
I'm sorry.
What a joke.
This is a professional.
Oh my god.
Astralis, starting with the approach on the back end. They had questions about what they did on the back of their utility usage, and the answer is hopefully this time going to be killed people. EFAC, he impacted this last time round, and Forrest is there to get the catch if he tries it again. They have no idea Forrest is in position. Oh, and he doesn't quite get the full punish. He's not quite able to have that big impact. He escapes. However, that really should have been a freebie. He suffers some damage on the way out the door. EFAC's not shying away from the fight himself. But if that was the performance of Forrest we had, or in line with it from Villa, that would have been an easy pickup.
Shaiko hiding, Likafek hiding. Both of them. Not moving about. C4 on the roof, Shaiko! Knew about Iconic. Decided to take him out of his misery. That's going to be the entry kill in the end. After we've had like 2 close gunfights either side, it's going to be C4 just lobbed over. Forrest coming in from below. Has some grenades to use. Actually, just one. He's going to be taking it in his hands. He's going to hope to send it. He's not going to find anything. Spiff will find Renshiro though. Brings it back to even numbers. Now Forrest needs to be finding himself a way back up. But is he going to be walking right into the middle of Likafek and Shaiko?
No way you really want to be. He doesn't have the grenades to make the sort of pop and presence, but Spiff sort of making the statement here on the opposite end, and obviously being able to take care and get revenge of what was pulled away from you last time. It's a big bit of growth, but they need to have that lead in smash factor. They need to have that energy, this electrified and this locked. Shuttle cannot quite get that open. It needs to be this a direct route right up the stairs, ready for the call of the Banshee. There's going to be a swing of a heavy-hitting gun. I said he can play that, and Forrest with the swing up. J90 gets one, Alems gets one right back. Shaiko goes down. They're inside gym, they're locked in. They've been able to slip their way right the way up. A 1 versus 2 technically, but can get the player up. They have time to go for the plant. Shuttle's getting the blind at Spiff with the swing round on the back end. Gives the game and can't get the connection. Shuttle, once again, in a clutch situation. He's waiting, hoping somebody is on the other end of that, and we are holding our breath, but the call of the motion is one either side. BDS, look how much health they're on. It won't take much. Shuttle's just got to try and make that connection. The smoke goes on the back end. He's running out of time for plant. He's got to try and bait some of this. He's got to try and bait some of the pressure. He's now moved himself all the way right in. And BDS pulled the round back.
Lack of information there on the fact that a player was down, Shaiko was down. If they knew they could have moved quicker, they might have been able to actually lock it out as they were, and Astralis would have been 2-3 now. Now we're going to have a technical pause coming through in just a bit, I've just been told. So as we quickly go over all those replays, you might go back into the player games. There you have it.
A quick technical pause.
Quick technical. Something needs to be fixed.
They're probably coming for me.
There might be after that joke you've just made. Arrest her. Send over the police.
Oh no. Hopefully, we'll be back into this series sooner rather than later. A break in the momentum. Astralis still, as Iconic said slightly earlier on, can pull this back to, you know, an inline attacking half. If they can get a second round, 2-4 on your attack on club isn't the end of the world with the bans that we've got. It's, you know, there's still so much room there for them to bring some of the game back that they had on Villa, bring some of the game back to the game that they're able to flaunt and push this to just a 2-map series and take a spot on the main stage in Place Belle. At the same time, BDS, if they can get themselves set up 5-1, they're in very good stead here to take us to a 3rd map. We are, I believe, close to getting back in as well. There it is. And let's continue.
Let's get back into it. Last round of this half, and it's going to be taking place in the church in Arsenal room. Now, we've seen a successful round from Astralis here, which was, of course, the quick get in, attack the triple wall, get through, get those kills, get the plant down, and it worked out. Are you going to be able to run that twice? Probably not. So, do they need to find a different solution? Probably yes. What the solution will be, we'll get to find out in just a couple of seconds. Now, it is crucial that they are going to be taking care of these roamers, because what it looks like right now is that Likafak and Shaiko, 2 of the probably like most consistent gunners on BDS so far, and I know Likafak, you know, he's just a rookie, so he's not really like having the same amount of consistency yet like Shaiko has had over his career. They're out roaming. They're out looking for players on Astralis. And that means that Brede and Ranchiro both yet to find that connection. Well, actually, one has gone for the rejoin. That was Ranchiro. Are left on side. Drone's coming through. Top floor cleared out first. That's exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, rolling on. Getting some eyes and ideas here, and a bit of a break in the momentum. Before we have the turn of the half, it's still gives them some time to think about what they might be able to tune in, because it was close there for Astralis. They were sort of knocking on the door. They had the 3 versus 2. Obviously, one of them was down, but well within their rights and abilities to get them back up. Alems, we saw him accidentally, I think, misthrow the claw the last time he was here, and when they actually came to attack it, he was trying to get the prompt to get it back. So this is a slightly different tale, and if you're wondering why he's tucked up so high, it's because it just makes the deployment of it instant. Every second helps.
Every second does help. Impact EMP just used to try and open up the hatch on the motorcycle. Not successful. Lem's able to trick that out and will be making his way back out. So now they can actually use an exothermic on it. But do they want to? Because, well, they've just tricked one.
They do have the pocket of the buck. And you got to think, well, where is that going to go now? The trade-off is, if you're putting the pressure from here, you need shuttle wall, triple wall opened even if you've got Shuttle doing it via the exothermic, no, is the answer there. They're doing that on the hatch instead. Or the breach of Iconic, is that going to go on Kitchen? And you force yourself to have to either take the hatches in the swing, the doorways, and sort of enter via that route, or not go for the plant spot that they've gone through for all of their previous attacks here. They now have to make a pretty tricky decision based on one good use of that Kaid juggling. As I said, the Bandit isn't going to stop them. The Kaid, that's where they're happy to sit, the French.
Vex being used, successful.
Very dangerous.
Forest is inside. Drops are coming through as well. Shuttle, if you manage to get that plant down. No, it's the swing from the dirt tunnel that stops him from happening, and that keeps BDS in a good spot here. Forrest moves on. Spots one, goes for the second, but does not quite connect. Leaves it only up to Spiff in this 1v3. Diffuser down on the ground. Is he going to go for the recovery, or is he going to go for the kills instead? He will find one. Almost dies by the Bandit wire up on the wall, or the Kaid Claw rather. If he steps too close again, that will be the end of him.
15 seconds. The Kitten may as well be a Narnia at this point. He's got across a very dangerous version of it. 2 guns, 2 gunners either side. Bride still with a smoke canister in pocket as well. If he wanted to, he could just end this by throwing that down, not knowing how close Spiff is towards the end. Well, we are at the end of the half. 5-1. The French team lead on their clubhouse.
That's exactly what they need to push themselves to a map number 3 to try and lock it off over there and continue their fight through the lower bracket. Round by round is the call that's coming now from Astralis.
Round by round.
Don't want to be focusing too much now on the details for 6 rounds from now, because, you know, you need to survive up until that point. Sure, Arsenal first.
Yep, all the way down to the basement. Will this be BDS taking us to the 3rd map quite quickly? That's always the sort of moment here, is, you know, if you're able to get yourself a quicker response, then, yeah, you'll be less tired, you'll be a little bit more energized, you have the confidence of a quick hand on your map, but it sort of gives Astralis that, like, blink break, and then they're back in, maybe with a little bit more. Obviously, as we said, this is the last game before the teams, I'm not going to say have a day off. They're probably going to be quite busy tomorrow.
They'll be very busy, scrimming, preparing, watching pods.
But, you know, it's that do or die moment. One of these 2 teams will not be continuing onto the main stage. Here we go, though. The start and the extension, they've got themselves prepped for maybe a cheeky go out the window and the door. They've got the bait of the alibi, the Prisma. They're hoping somebody maybe put some pressure onto it, and then they could swing on the back of that on the door itself. No gifts, J90. He's got himself locked up around Adam. The keeper barrier is giving him a little bit more wiggle room, but it's still not massively survivable. So how long do you sit here, and how long? Well, not very. Spiff, he rotates back. The pair of them, they're getting out of there.
BDS and their attacks are going to be making sure they lock it off here, or at least try. It's going to be the Ying opening up the hatch first. Now, this is going to be providing an avenue for those Candelas to just go through and allow Shaiko to push on, just like Likifak. But they might be going for different approaches as well, and that's what they usually do. You open up as many hatches as you possibly can. You open up as much of the vertical area you can, just to make sure you buy yourself options and you limit that of the defenders. Now, as the time ticks down, it is a very heavy turtle hold here from Astralis, and that means that if BDS realize this, they're just going to be coming knocking. Castle barricades and motorcycle, though, are going to be potentially helpful if they do drop through.
Oh,
thought there might have been something there.
Just hates that bit of wall.
What else in particular?
What else does he hate? That bit of wall. And he's going to steadily make his thoughts well known. They're concerned, as you would be, about a C4 coming from underneath, but what they otherwise will have to deal with is a lot of potential impact tricks. There's still 5 in pocket here for them to maybe play underneath the kitchen hatch, keep that coordinated, but there's otherwise not the pressure coming down to it. It's the fight here over onto the wall itself for now. They've utilized the hard breach charges. Maybe we just missed the approach onto the kitchen hatch. Maybe they're not curious about it.
Quick spots coming down with the Solace.
Still locked.
I think it's going to be clear. Yeah, still locked. No worries as of yet. 40 seconds counting down. Keeper barriers are being set up. BDS, you need to pull the trigger right now. And that is going to be coming with this blowtorch, opening up a line of sight. Still survives. But a player hidden in the corner out there is going to be more important. Shaiko walks in, finds one, and survives for the second as he's trying to take the fight there.
They suddenly just exploded. Shaiko on the back end, the blue gets it. J9 has just swung on, and Spiff is suddenly all alone. BDS decided it was time to strike. They struck. And Spiff, he's going to see if he can get all of them on the back. A secondary take here. Reloads, has time, doesn't have much room. Could open himself up a bit of a rotate, but not all the way around, so has to go with some width. Cannot find the connection. BDS, they sit on map point, ready to take us to the third. And there's 5 attempts for them to make it happen.
There's a lot of opportunity to do so, and if you can explode like that, where you don't really have the control, they just pull a trigger, and they win. And this is something I've said about BDS in different maps as well. Cafe, top floor / bar cocktail. Sometimes the structural work is not done, yet they pull the trigger and they're able to just move through. They're able to just get those kills and they're able to just get that plan down. That's a strength they have. Of course, they don't want to rely on it, but if they aren't able to work quick enough, it is always that trump card they have in the back of their pockets. Bar stage, Astralis. Again, they're taking it round by round, making sure that they are trying to stay in it that way. It's looking very dicey now, because they need to come back 5 consecutive rounds in a row before OT hits. Billiards is being barricaded again. Don't know what that was, probably to shoot a drone.
Hey, it's a Solus. If you got a drone, Solus will get it. That's the drive through, and they can be problematic. This, you know, it's not the most impactful site in terms of just hunting drones that are laid out. There's too much range. It's not like Cafe, where you can sort of get an eye, but the 3 drones dropped in that phase here. It's pretty solid work for the new operator.
It's very solid work. A lot of the information game taken out early. You know how that's going to be playing out in the end of things, you know, when you just needed that one extra drone to locate that one player that was missing, for example. Quick echo play outside. You need to do for 10 seconds before the drone becomes inactive, and you need to go physically outside to recover it. It's a bit more dangerous. Opening will be made on construction, and of course, as per any bar stage round, verticality is key. You need to be taking construction. You need to be, well, not necessarily take the bedroom under control, but if you are able to put up some pressure down that way, that will help you out.
So inside strip, Shuttle wants to go for the swing out the door and put the pressure on the back end, but look at Alems. He's sort of watching one end. He swung around when the breach came together, obviously. They also have some pressure, but there's nobody really in that place to get caught. Iconic can rotate up. He's hanging around the bottom of red right now towards, you know, the back end, but with the Alems putting pressure onto Forest, at what point do you go for the movement? At what point do you go for the fight back? J9 under an increasingly small amount of territory that he can control. The blinds go out. He puts the glasses back on. He's more than ready for the hop in. There's nothing too specific to hide behind, but they push the player out at least. An aggressive take over the top. Shaiko finding one more on the back. They're concerned of the rotate I talked about before, but it's not coming yet. Iconic has a long, long road to go.
It's a very long road. More breaches are coming through, and as the Yokai drone is getting itself in position to try and stop any plant from happening. So be careful it doesn't get caught on the way down there, because then suddenly you lose out on so much denial. Rotations are starting to come through from BDS, so is some more verticality just to confirm that the kitchen is cleared. No need to worry about it, so is its hallway. And there is this time on BDS. They don't need to hurry. They know how much time they need to get this to stick. And that's exactly what they're aiming for. Oh, the push potentially coming in from Strip.
Yeah, they've, I think, read where the back end was, and Spiff's holding onto the bathroom. There's been a rotate up the stairs. Iconic, he's made himself a little bit closer towards the fight. The grenade rolls through. The pressure is on him, and he knows his number's been called, but 20 seconds. If he's drawing attention, that's a good play. The spray comes against it. Spiff's able to get out of there. Breede's going to see if he can stick the plant. With Shuttle moving a drone round maybe to stop this. It's making its journey. It won't get there in time. And it's a post-plant situation. They can only read and watch and see if they can pull the players. Iconic Holding himself onto lounge, onto pit. The swing up doesn't quite go their way, but it's a trade at least. Brede gets one more. It's all down to shuttle. We are going to map 3.
Very convincing second map to come through from BDS, but it's kind of what we said already throughout the entirety of the first map and this one, is that when we're headed towards Clubhouse, BDS is